Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the 3.1, 3.2 PowerPoint lecture. This is part 2, so if you have not yet watched part 1, where we covered questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, please make sure that you stop this video and go back and watch part 1 first. All right, for those of you that are ready to go, we're moving on to finish up our lecture here. First, we're going to go ahead and quickly review the first 5 questions we already did. We started with, where the heck is the Arabian Peninsula located anyway? And the answer to that question is that it is in the continent of Asia. It is sandwiched right between Africa on the left, the rest of Asia on the right, and then Europe above it, which is going to make it an ideal place for a gateway center for trading for those 3 continents. We talked about the weather, that it is mostly desert in the Arabian Peninsula with an occasional oasis, and that is where the trading centers and markets would sprout up, like Mecca and Medina, both places we learn about in this unit. We discussed what life was like on the Arabian Peninsula, how because it was so much desert, it wasn't easy to live a sedentary lifestyle where you stay in one place. And so a lot of people living in the peninsula were nomadic. We had the Bedouin clans that would live together in family groups and travel from place to place, looking for water and grazing land for their livestock and camels, as well as trading centers. We talked about how they traveled in camel caravans for not only safety in numbers, but also for socialization purposes. We also discussed who was Muhammad. You want to remember that he was a very important religious, military, and political leader. He becomes a religious leader because he is the person who starts the Islamic faith. He's praying in a cave one day at the age of 40, and he claims that the angel Gabriel came down to him, giving him revelations sent by Allah, the one true God. He comes down off the cave and starts preaching the message of Islam to people in Mecca. We talked about what a Muslim is. Muslims are people who chose to convert to the Islamic faith and start practicing the Islamic faith. So they're known as Muslims, just like Christians practice Christianity and Jews practice Judaism. Muslims practice the Islamic faith. The last question we covered on part 1, blah, 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 can't talk today, was the migration. Muhammad and his followers started off in Mecca, and originally they were persecuted quite a bit for their beliefs. This was a pretty radical idea. Most people in the area were polytheistic, and here comes somebody saying, nope, there's only one God, and his name's Allah. And so some people liked Muhammad's simplistic message of one God and the hope of heaven one day and decide to become a Muslim. But other people were persecuting Muhammad and his followers. So ultimately they end up migrating to Yathrib, which they will rename Medina. Medina means city of the prophet. And while they're in Medina, they're able to gain numbers and ultimately end up with a 10,000 person army in addition to other followers of Islam. They march back down to Mecca with their 10,000 army strong military unit, and they take over the city of Mecca, claiming it for Islam. They take over the Kaaba, that big black box that was being used as a worship center for polytheistic religions, and they make it a worship center for the Islamic faith instead. From there, Muhammad continues to use military force as well as political strategy, things like treaties, to continue to spread the Islamic faith throughout the Arabian Peninsula. And by the time he dies, he has in fact succeeded in spreading Islam throughout the Arabian Peninsula. That is the last slide we covered on part 1. You want to make sure that you drew a line all the way across underneath everything for question 5, so we can move on to question 6. Question 6, what is Islam based on? That is your question for the left-hand side. Make sure you write it down on the left. If you're not ready, then push pause, because here I go. On the right, you're writing down Q6, Islamic foundations, and you're highlighting it yellow. Notice on the slide there is both bolded red writing, which is the super duper important information. Make sure you put that in your super duper important highlighter color. And there's also a couple of vocab words, so get those highlighted with your vocab color as well. So, what is Islam based on anyway? Well, Muhammad claims that the angel Gabriel gave him revelation straight from Allah, and then he goes ahead and he teaches the people those teachings while he's alive. People memorized those as well as wrote them down. And so eventually, when Muhammad dies, all of those teachings are compiled into a book, and that is known as the Islamic Holy Book, the Quran. You guys want to know that, so don't forget. Most religions have some sort of holy book. We talked about Christianity during the last unit. Christians use the Bible as their holy book. Okay, Judaism has their own holy book as well. The Torah is their holy book, and the Islamic faith has the Quran as their holy book. There's other important books in the Islamic faith as well, however. There is the concept of the Hadith. The Hadith is the idea of all of Muhammad's teachings on taking the messages from Allah and applying them practically to your everyday life so that you could live a good life as a Muslim. All of those teachings and deeds that Muhammad did throughout his life end up getting compiled in a book called the Sunnah. Okay, so the Quran is their holy book and played a really big influential role throughout the lives of a Muslim. Okay, and the Sunnah is the book that talks about Muhammad's daily life and his examples so that you could apply the teachings of the Quran practically to your life and make good decisions, right? That's the Sunnah. So make sure you keep those two books straight. Go ahead and draw a line underneath everything you just wrote. And if you're not ready, push pause because here we go. Oh, not a question yet. I forgot the video slide. All right, this is a little interesting. I'm not going to show you the video during the lecture presentation. I would recommend you watch it though. You can go to the PowerPoint section of our website and click on this particular PowerPoint 3.1, 3.2 from Unit 2 and go ahead and flip to this slide and then click on the box so you can watch that video. It's 4 minutes long, guys. You want to know the 5 pillars of faith. Trust me, hint, hint, wink, wink. So take the time to watch the video. Do it now. Go, go, go. All the cool kids are doing it. Do it. All right. The 5 pillars of faith are that there is one God only, and his name is Allah. There's also prayer. All Muslims pray 5 times a day, always facing Mecca when they do it. There's fasting during the month of Ramadan. That means they do not eat anything from sun up until sundown for an entire month during Ramadan. There's also almsgiving, which is giving a portion of your money that you earn to the poor, 2.5% during the course of the year. And then there's also the pilgrimage. That's the idea of if you are physically able, making the trip at some point during your life to Mecca. Okay, that's the pilgrimage. Those are the 5 pillars. Watch the video. Do it now. Go. All right, next slide. Over on the left-hand side, you're writing question 7. What is the Sharia? Write it down. If you're not ready, push pause. Over on the right-hand side, you're writing down Q7, the Sharia, and you are highlighting it yellow. Make sure you notice that the Sharia up in the title is a double underlined word. That's one of our vocab words, so also use your vocab highlighter underneath the word Sharia so you recognize that. The Sharia is the Islamic law book. They take all the portions of the Quran, which is the Muslim holy book, and all the portions of the Sunnah, that's Muhammad's life and teachings, that had to do with law, and they combine it together into one book. And Islamic societies use the Sharia to decide legal matters. Make sure you draw a line underneath everything you just wrote. If you need more time to write, push pause here, because here I go. Question number 8, what connections does Islam share with Judaism and Christianity? All right, there's actually several things that they have in common. Okay, don't forget to highlight the title of Q8 on the right-hand side of your notes, all right? First of all, they are all monotheistic. A lot of religions out there are polytheistic. They believe in more than one God, but Christianity, Judaism, and the Islamic faith all believe in monotheism. They believe in one God. All three of those religions also believe in the existence of heaven and hell. Some religions believe you have some other option once you die. Some believe nothing happens to you once you die. But all three, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism faiths believe that once you die, you will either go to heaven or to hell. They also all believe that their religions descend from a person known as Abraham, who was a man that lived long before either Jesus or Muhammad was on the scene. All three religions look towards Abraham as the father of their religious backgrounds and a prophet of God. Additionally, you want to make note that most Muslims believe that Allah is in fact the same God that Christians and Jews are worshiping. Okay, that's something that Muslims believe all three faiths have in common. However, be careful because a lot of Christians and Jews would disagree with that and say, no, Allah is not the God that we worship, that's somebody else. Okay, so it depends on which faith you're talking to as to whether or not they agree on that or not. So again, they do actually have quite a few things in common: heaven and hell, the descendants from Abraham, and they're all monotheistic. Okay, make sure you use your highlighters for everything you need to. Draw a line underneath everything you just put. And if you're not ready, push pause because here I go. All right, we are on the last question. Woo woo! All right, question 9. Why did Muslims call Jews and Christians the people of the book? Make sure you're writing that down on the left-hand side. If you're not ready, push pause because here we go. All right, people of the book, which again, you're going to be highlighting that yellow as the title of the right-hand side of your notes over here, but people of the book is also double underlined, so don't forget to add that with your vocab highlighter as well. And there's also red writing on this one, so you should be using your super duper important highlighter color also. Okay, so who are the people of the book? Well, the people of the book are Christians and Jews. Okay, the Muslims call Christians and Jews people of the book for a few reasons. First of all, the Muslims look at Christians and Jews like they have a lot in common with the Muslim traditions. They all have a holy book, for example. Let's test you, see if you remember. The Muslim holy book is the Quran. Okay, the Christian holy book is the Bible. And the Jewish holy book is the Torah. Okay, yeah. So they all have a holy book. They all believe that their holy book are the words of God given to someone to write down. Okay. Additionally, the Muslims believe that the Quran is the final holy book and that Muhammad was the final prophet. Okay. They look at Jesus as a real person who walked the earth, but Muslims do not believe that Jesus was the Son of God, as Christians do. Muslims instead believe that Jesus was a prophet. All right. But remember, Muhammad comes about 500 years or so after Jesus. So Muslims believe that Muhammad is the final prophet. And if the Bible or the Torah disagree with anything from the Quran, because the Quran is the latest information, it's the newest one, you are supposed to default to the Quran as the final word of God, according to Muslims. Okay, so they think that, hey, Jews and Christians, they're on the right track, but they're just a little misguided, but they have a lot in common with us. So they give them some special treatment during the Islamic Empire when they take over all of the Arabian Peninsula and then spread out even past that into Africa and Asia and even a little into Europe. Okay, Muslim law actually requires that Muslim leadership offer religious tolerance to Christians and Jews. All right. they are not supposed to force them to convert to Islam, for example. They can stay a Christian or can stay a Jew if they live in the Islamic Empire lands. And that's why they're called the people of the book. They get special treatment. They've got a lot in common with Muslims. All right, that's it for PowerPoint 3.1, 3.2. Hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Don't forget to highlight everything you need to highlight and study that information. It will be on tests. See you later.